Welcome back to Renegade GCM. Today we have gameplay with Bonney versus Red Purple Luffy in the OP09 meta. Alright. Waiting on the opponent to choose their turn order here. Opponent choosing to go first. We got two 10-drop Dopies. We got a couple 2Ks and a Cavendish. So our 2 down here, we're going to deploy out our Rosinati blocker and just pass it over. We're going to put 2 down on their leader, go 8 into 5. We'll take that. We get a Kid. They'll deploy out their Nami Searcher. And they get Gum Gum Giant. Okay. So here we're at 4 Dawn. We're going to put 3 on our leader and pressure 8 into 6. I take that first hit and we'll just pass it back, leaving 1 Dawn open for a leader effect if need be. So if we can survive into the late game, we'll do okay. With the Kid kind of slowing things down. And then the 10-drop Doflamingo's locking down whatever board they've amassed by then. So they're going to go 7 here. We're going to use card action. Just rest the Nami so that we get to use the leader effect. And we're going to give them a 2 and a 1, it looks like. Or, yeah, a 2 and a 1. They're going to play out their Mr. 2. We're going to play out our Cavendish, getting some Dawn back. And then we're going to attack 7 into their leader, leaving 1 Dawn open. They only need a 2K to get out of this. We know they have the Gum Gum Giant, so it's also an option that they could deploy against us. So 7 into 6 here. They do end up using the Gum Gum Giant here. Okay. Let me just pass it over to him. Opponent's got 8 cards in hand. It's a lot. We do have a Shanks, 9-drop Shanks in hand. We have the Dofies and the Kid. We have one more 2K, but we're not looking too well, but we do have 4 life. So opponent has the Mr. 2, which could copy the Cavendish's power, making it a 6K swing, but they also have the leader. They're only going to get 1. They could get their Nami, but they're not going to get their leader and Mr. 2. So they got Usahachi, 2K counter for them. They have 5 open Dawns still to work with. Eight cards in hand. That's a lot of cards. So opponent is going to deploy out a Queen, using its on-play effect to draw 2, trash 1. And they trashed a 7-drop Kid. Okay. And then just pass it back. Alright. So we're at 8 Dawn here. We're going to deploy out the Kid. We're going to swing with the Cavendish so we can get some Dawn back. Just pressuring 6 into the life here. They're going to counter out. So here I put 6 on, I put 1 Dawn on Bonney. Just passing the turn. I don't really have a good way to protect the Kid right now, because I only have a 2K and a 1K, and then I have 1 blocker. So Mr. 2, if it swings, becomes an 8K. But then we rest their leader. They're going to go 8 into 6 here. Yep, we're going to rest the leader. So we need to give him a 2 and a 1 to get out of this. Which we are. So now they still have Open Dawn. Seven Dawn, it looks like. So they are going to pressure into the Cavendish with their Queen blocker. We're going to give them our blocker here. That way, if they want to pressure it again, they're going to have to use the majority of their Dawn. So they are going to play a Luffy Taro, using its ability upon play to play out a 4-drop Onami. Passing it back to us, we did get a Basil Hawkins here. So now we're going to deploy out the 10-drop, locking down their leader, Mr. 2 and Queen. Cavendish is going to swing into Mr. 2 just to get some Dawn back and get it off the field. We're going to put 1 onto the kid, and we're going to attack 9 into life here. See if they want to give us the Onami blocker. And we still have 1 Open Dawn for leader effect. So we just chipped 5 into the 6th. It doesn't do anything for us, but... And then we're just going to pass the turn back over to them. So now they have to attack the kid, but they only get 1 real good attack in. Because they're going to have to use the majority of their Dawn to make the other 2 attacks even viable. And now we do have the 10-drop Doflamingo again, and the 9-drop Shanks if we need to deploy or get rid of something. The Luffy Taro is enough to pressure the kid, and we have no way of protecting it. But if they do swing into the kid, we can rest their blocker. They're going to go 10 here into the kid. We're going to rest the blocker, like I said. We have no way of protecting it, so we're going to have to let it go. They have 6 Open Dawn here. They can deploy something, or they can make an 8K swing out of Nami. But they're going to have to try to put some sort of a pressure of either a blocker up or holding some Dawn for Gum Gum Giant. Alright, so they're going to pressure into the Cavendish. We don't have a choice, we have to give it to them. So they only have 2 Dawn. They will play a Nico Robin blocker. Okay, cool. So we're not going to be able to go for game this turn. So we're going to just deploy the 10-drop here, locking down their leader, Luffy Taro, and the Queen. And we're going to go after their Onami blocker. And then we're going to pressure into life here. They do have the Nico Robin blocker here if they want to give that to us, or they still have 6 cards in hand. So they give us the blocker here, and we're just going to pass it over. They can't really snap back this turn because we rested their attackers. Now they could play like the 9-drop Luffy or even the 10-drop Luffy that resets their board and Dawn. But it won't be enough to get out of the situation they're in currently. We do have a 1K in hand, but that's it. Opponent still has 7 Dawn, or 7 cards in hand and 10 Open Dawn. So we'll have to see if they have some blockers in hand that they can deploy. So they're going to drop a 10-drop Shanks, which they're going to go into our Doflamingo, which they get. And then we're going to play our 9-drop Shanks to take out their 10-drop Shanks. We're going to go 10 into debating between Luffy Taro or Life. Because with the amount of cards they have in hand, it's like probably not a very good chance that we got game here. We're going to go 10 into 6. That might give us the last life or quite a bit of cards out of hand. So 2K. Get rid of 3 cards out of hand. Okay. We're just going to pass the turn. We still have 4 life, so. I mean, their 10-drop Shanks did buy them a turn, technically. So we have a couple blockers in hand. We have a Jewelry Bonney Searcher. 4 life, so we could afford to take a couple hits, try to get some better options in hand. So they're going to put a bunch on Luffy Taro, go 12. We're going to rest their leader here. We only have 2K worth of counter, so we can't save it. And now if they want to swing, it's just going to come into life, which is going to give us more cards in hand. So they're going to play out a Nami Searcher. They only got 3 cards, 1 life, and they did get they got the secret rare Luffy, the 9-drop, but they can't deploy it this turn. So we're going to go 6 into 5 here. We're going to take that. And they just passed it over to us. Still didn't get really good options. Ain't really got many good options here. But we're going to go 9 or 11 into their 6 here with the Shanks. They still have a blocker. They have the Queen blocker still, which they give that to us. We're going to deploy out the Bonney Searcher, see if we can find something. I'm going to grab out the Cavendish here, deploying it. Put a blocker out. We're debating about the Browsanati blocker or maybe another Bonney and using the search effect, but we're going to go after their Nami, the rested Nami here. So they did use a Gum Gum Giant to protect that. Okay. Trashing the 9-drop Luffy. Interesting. So we're going to play out the blocker and just pass the turn, leaving 1 Dawn open. So they have to choose between Luffy Taro and their leader. So we have 2 blockers on the field, 3 life. We only have a 1K in hand. We do have a Basil Hawkins as well, which doesn't do anything in the hand. So the opponent really can't go for game this turn because we have 2 blockers on the field. So even if they split their Dawn effectively, it wouldn't secure them the win. So here they're going to go 11 into Shanks. We're going to use card effect, leader effect here to rest the leader. And we only need 1K out of this, which we're going to give it to them. So they're going to go 2 into the Bonney. We're just going to give them the Bonney, it's fine. And now they have the Nami. Looks like 7 Dawn available to them. So they're going to play out Luffy Taro and a Zoro Joro, which will find them. It's a Searcher. And they've got a 2K Sanji. Okay. Alright. So here they only got 4 cards in hand. They have 1 life. We do have viable swings here. We have the Shanks, which is almost guaranteed to hit. We're going to put 2 on the Shanks just to secure that. But we're going to go after Luffy Taro here. Okay. Then we're going to go at 8 into their Luffy, into leader. Because we knew they had a 2K, so they had to over counter here. Just going to take out the Bonney. So here we should have went for game. We should have went for game here. With the limited amount of cards that they had in hand. There was no reason not to go for game here. I mean, we still have 3 blockers on the field. I mean, we weren't in any, like, immediate danger of losing the match with the amount of blockers, with the line of play we did take. But the issue for not going for game on that last turn was now we're giving the opponent an opportunity to draw into something that could change the match. So I'm going to give him my last 2K out of hand to save the Cavendish. Because I have blockers that can save them if they go to pressure again. So if I was going to put 3 on the Luffy Taro, going 11 into the Shanks, we're going to just give him the blocker here. So they have a 6K Luffy still, 7 Open Dawn. So they can pressure the Shanks if they want. Like, 1 more swing into Shanks. So they're going to play out their Luffy, or their Usohachi to rest their Rosnati. And then just kind of pressuring with their Nami, which we're going to have to, no, we're going to use our blocker for it, okay. Because that Rosnati blocker has a really useful effect that we can just use the card action like we did here to save a rested character. Alright, so they only had a 2K left in hand, so they had 2, 4, 6K total the turn prior. So 6, that was 12. So they would have been able to counter out of the Shanks hit if we would have went for game last turn. That would have used all their counter. And then we would have went with Cavendish at 7K, which they wouldn't have been able to counter with 1 card in hand, taking the last life. And then we would have put the rest on Bonney. So yeah, there was no reason to extend the game further than we did. But Bonney was able to outmaneuver Red Purple Luffy in the OP09 meta. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.